Hello everyone, my name is Michaela Spittler, so I'm just going to give you a brief intro into myself and tell you a little bit about my history. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, so a little ways away from here in Kansas, but I grew up in the southeast, mostly in a place called Fort Mill, South Carolina, so it's just over the border with North Carolina and about 30 minutes south of Charlotte, North Carolina. So you might have heard of Charlotte, know where it is. That's pretty much where I grew up. We were in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, so I grew up with this around, kind of different here. So I've been missing my mountains quite a bit, and it's a little bit of an adjustment getting used to Kansas when I grew up with this. As for family, both of my parents are still living. So this is my mom, Dee, and my dad, Corky. I have two older brothers. Forrest is up here. Yeah, he's pretending to be a tree. And then this is Seth. So we're, kind of crazy bunch of kids, I guess. We're not really kids anymore. But Forrest currently lives in Seattle. And Seth is with the Navy and stationed in Japan at the moment. So I'm also really close with my Aunt Kathy and Uncle David. They both live in the Atlanta area, so I haven't actually gotten to see them in a while, but I talk with them all the time. I also have a dog. This is when he found his mini-me in PetSmart. So he's the big one in my lap. He's a cute, adorable little dork. As you can see in this image here, he has a very faint, like lightning bolt shaped spot between his eyes. It's actually kind of difficult to see a lot of times, but that's why he is named Harry Potter. I call him Potter most of the time, or Potts. But as I said, he is a dork. He got stuck on the couch. My parents also have a dog. Her name is Elfie. She's a princess. So she's very cute, but very temperamental, I guess you could say. For the past 21 years or so, I've actually played the harp. So my mom plays as well, just not as often as I do. And then this is my harp that I've actually had since senior year of high school, so 10 years now. I graduated from Clemson University, so those of you who don't know, Clemson is in South Carolina, so it's a little bit further away from Charlotte than where I grew up. So I grew up here, and then Clemson is all the way over here. So Clemson is even further up into the Blue Ridge Mountains than where I grew up, so it's even more of those mountains and everything that I miss so much. But I graduated in 2013 with a Bachelor's of Science in Biochemistry and a minor in Genetics. You might have heard of Clemson because of our football team. It's a pretty big deal in South Carolina, as you might be able to tell. I also worked with the athletic tutoring department for 2 years while I was there. But you probably have heard of us if you're a college football fan, because this is actually when we won the 2016 National College Football Championship, something like that. And then these are some pictures from after the game. And we also won, in January, we won the 2018 National Championship game, both of which we won over Alabama. So pretty awesome right there. One of my former students was actually on the team when we won in 2016. But all of my students have either moved on from Clemson or even some into the NFL. So I watch them on Sundays instead of Saturdays now. While I was at Clemson, I researched spider silk proteins. It was part of my classes and then also kind of an extra thing that I added on as just I wanted to do research. So this is one way that I got into it. Spider silk is actually, a lot of people think spiders and they're creepy and, whatever. But spider silk is actually really interesting, and it's got some wonderful properties to it. Like, for example, it's stronger than steel. Well, it's also more flexible than steel. It can be used with like Kevlar vests to help prevent gunshot wounds, to create better bulletproof vests. It can be used in the medical industry, computers, all different kinds of things. The only problem with it at the moment is mass production, because you can't really get it out of spiders so much because they don't make a whole lot. And then if you try to keep them in a colony together, they tend to eat each other. So, not all that great. And it's been rather difficult to produce outside of spiders, which is what we were working on a lot. So I did my research on campus in this building. It's called the BRC. And there are other groups around the world kind of working with spider silk. There are some that are kind of working to, raise awareness of it. So this is one of those groups. They actually created an entire garment out of just spider silk. It's gorgeous. And this is just the process of them making that. But in my lab, we always joked that we were trying to make him. We weren't, but, still kind of fun. After I graduated from Clemson, I went on to do the Disney College internship program. So I did my program in Florida, so Walt Disney World. And I worked in Epcot, and that's a picture of my favorite ride, Expedition Everest. But it was a really cool experience. I'd never actually been to Disney before I started this program, so it was kind of a little bit of a culture shock getting used to it, but I absolutely loved it. And I also got to take my family to Disney for their first time. And that's a picture of when I graduated from the college program. So I got a picture with Minnie and Mickey in their graduation outfits. If you can't tell from my dog's name, I am also a huge Harry Potter fan. So living in Florida, I had to go to Universal multiple times for their Harry Potter part of the parks. So absolutely loved it. But after Disney, I went on to grad school at the University of Oklahoma for 2 years. And that was actually where I got into my first teaching experience. I was a general chemistry TA. And then I also guest professored one summer for the engineering department. And so I really learned a lot while I was there. I was working with antibiotic resistant bacteria and trying to kind of find things, different drugs that you can kind of complex the antibiotics with that help the antibiotic kind of avoid the resistance pathways that the bacteria form. So it's kind of a way of helping to extend the life of our antibiotics, because that's actually a really big problem in medicine. It's antibiotic resistance. But I was working on another degree in biochemistry. But currently, I am a high school science teacher at Spearville High School. I teach biology, chemistry, physical science, and I also monitor an online physics class. So it's a relatively small school. I think we're 1A, so at a small school you end up having to wear a lot of different hats, which is why I teach so many different subjects, but I love it there. I just finished up my first year a couple months ago, first year of high school teaching. So we are a small little town, about 20-minute drive from Dodge City in southwest Kansas. So there's a picture of the high school itself, the front of it. We are known for our windmills, and the school actually gets a lot of funding from the windmills in town. So it's been pretty awesome for the town itself. As I said, I've only had 1 year of teaching, and so I don't actually have any experience with changing curriculum or anything like that, or even picking out a textbook. So I'm really kind of hoping to learn more about that this year. As for short-term goals, obviously with teaching, I want to help my students out as much as possible. So that's kind of a continuing short-term goal. Basically refreshes every single year. And then for long-term goals for myself, I actually want to go into pharmaceutical and disease research. So that means going back to school for myself again. And that also means med school. So getting my MD, PhD, so my medical doctorate, as well as my research doctorate, basically. So becoming a doctor, which means that this will be my life again. Because PhD, yeah, you don't have time, money, or energy. But so that is an intro into me. Let me know if you have any questions about what I've done or anything like that. Thanks.